I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe we should send Inspector Duddy out first. That would, of course, that's up to the mayor. And mayor,
Please find out.
Oh, yeah.
Within 30 days.
within 30 days?
Kevin could be out this week. He has spoken with the owner on multiple occasions. As a matter of fact, that is a site of concern by NJDEP because of the dry cleaning chemicals. And I agree, I saw it from the back the other day. It looks like it's ready to fall down. I'll get Kevin out there and maybe that'll be on your agenda for applicability at the next meeting. Councilman Lutz.
By the next meeting?
Yeah, he can be out by the next meeting.
We will start.
But it's got to go to Rich. It has to go to Rich. Councilman Lutz, I want to just mention about the energy aggregate. I have requested to terminate the contract. However, I saw an email from Rich that, Rich, you want to speak with me about it. And it's recommended by the rate change director, Council President.
Mayor, Mr. McDonald was here this evening, right? We had this conversation.
Tim, yeah, I had it, but I need to talk to Attorney Winter.
Okay.
Yeah. A letter did come out from the rate change director and the Board of Public Utilities that there were 2 violations of state statutes in their correspondence. However, they go on to say, though, that they can be modified and corrected. However, they highly recommend that the town speaks with the town attorney before taking any action. So I intend to call Rich this week and discuss the issue and then come back to council.
That works. Councilman Lutz?
Okay. The other thing is I'd like to thank everyone that helped the community in cleaning up on Saturday, and especially Battle Board. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I just got out of the hospital with diverticulitis, and it's not going too good, so that's why I couldn't make tonight's meeting. And one more thing. My email was hacked this weekend. Facebook was hacked this weekend. And in the Facebook, that says I misused $80,000 of the community grant for the town of Phillipsburg. And that was in the Facebook. I called Jim McDonald, and I'm sending all the information to him to find out who did this and what's going on, just so you know. So once again, thank you very much for helping the town and cleaning up, and that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lutz. I would encourage you to seek a report with law enforcement.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did already.
Great. Council Vice President?
Thank you. I was 50-50 on mentioning this, but actually this is a good time to mention it because 1, I had to get it off my chest. 2, there's no cameras, there's no journalist here. It's just personally for me. On August 22nd of this year, the Jersey Insider put out a press release named Phillipsburg Mayor, Democrat Council candidates comment on the police relocation. And the blurb in there states, prior to the intervention of state authorities, the council had obstructed plans to rehabilitate the armory into a modern public safety facility in favor of an expensive and unfeasible plan to keep the police in Corliss Avenue building. While this temporary solution protects Phillipsburg taxpayers from state fines, which that's really our job, it's an additional taxpayer expense that does not move us any closer to a permanent new public safety headquarters, which is an oxymoron in the previous sentence, says we're going to the Corliss Avenue building. Now, this is where I have an issue. A key component of the council's plan is the claim that they have a quote-unquote secret donor to offset the cost of the temporary move. We now have good reason to believe that there is no such donor exists, and we are calling for the council to identify the owner and assure the taxpayers that their money is not being squandered on a temporary quick fix. Now, I'll explain my angst on that release. this is politics, I don't mind press releases, I have the thickest skin you'll ever want to come across, and it takes a lot. This actually, the comment from the camp of 2 members to my left and right are here, the third, if he ever shows up to a meeting, instead of going around town saying that the council president and I are ruining this town, I would love for him to come here and say that at the podium, because I would have a little more respect for him. But to put this entire plan in jeopardy, to polarize and politicize the use of the armory, or to try to scare them off, or anyone involved, that Councilman Mark Lutz and I worked so hard over the summer, and we took turns reporting back to Council President on our progress throughout the summer on how this went, in addition to our town engineer, our town attorney, getting the advice along the way to make sure everything was done, especially myself, being just a sophomore councilman. I didn't want to make any missteps. But to say something like that, to call me out or call Mark out or council out that they're, that you want to see this because there's an election this year, breaks my heart, because there's a chance to really make this town a better place. But you're gonna throw in the council, in particular, Mark and I, under the bus. That's what hurt me, because you're challenging the reason why I ran to make this town better. I'm not asking for any comment, rebuttal. I'm not even holding any grudges. It's politics. I get it. But I wanted to get this off my chest as Mr. Morris at the back smiles over the release. It's not true. You know me. As Resolution 2019-170 stated, there was generosity and thoughtfulness and stakeholders in this town to move forward. And I'm grateful for that. I'm glad it wasn't put in jeopardy for a vote. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. The only thing I have, I really want to, Mary Jo, she left because she was freezing, but I heard they did an amazing job. I did not hear a rumor that council was involved in anything nefarious, so I'm not sure what she was referring to. But I will say that I'm thankful that everybody was down there, and fortunately, council had to split our resources that day. I participated in the Battleborn's first annual ruck for Joey Duran. For those who have grown up in this town, everybody knows that the Duran family was a staple of the town of Phillipsburg. Joey was a member of the military, fought overseas after September 11th, came home, but he came home with demons, and that's unfortunate, but he's no longer with us today. And we had the honor to honor his memory in Lopakon, and we walked through Phillipsburg. As a matter of fact, my walking partner over there, Mr. Skirbo, we walked 5.5 miles, was it? Yeah, that's at least what the watch told me, and my back told me the next day. It really, they're gonna do this annually. I'd like to maybe join up with Battleborn, the town of Phillipsburg, join up with Battleborn and do something similar for the veterans here in the town of Phillipsburg. Also, I want to recognize on Friday, like Councilman Lutz had said, we celebrated the retirement of Carolyn Maddock from the Senior Center when we provided her with a proclamation. I'd like to invite Ms. Maddock here. She had retired from the Senior Center after 14 years of service. Prior to that, she's done a lot of volunteer work in the community for Phillipsburg. What you saw here this evening with regard to the habitability hearings, I would like to see them happen more often. We really do need to work on the blight. It's unfortunate that the gentleman came here with the type of attitude that he did, because he would have gotten further with respect than he did with his disrespect to my colleague, the colleague to my left. That's one thing I'm not going to allow to happen. I'm not going to allow any of our colleagues, mayors or council, to be disrespected at the meetings any further. Something needs to change. I think it has changed for the positive over the last few weeks. I think we're moving in the right direction. I like rent control, but I like all my new friends I've made along the way. So I enjoy the fan mail. And I am very thankful, and I hope everyone has a very good evening this evening. If there's nothing further, we can motion. All in favor?
Aye.
No, that's not.
Come to a meeting and you recognize all
I'm
these
so tired.